Hello and welcome to Art in Bloom in Concord, a collaboration of the Garden Club of Concord, the Concord Museum, and Concord Art. Here at the museum, 6 amazing designers have interpreted watercolors by Loring Coleman that are now on view in the museum as part of an exhibition entitled Home, the Paintings of Loring Coleman. In this video, you will hear remarks from our curatorial associate, Erica Loam, who will talk about each of the paintings, followed by conversation with our designers, who will share with you their inspiration, their vision, and their choice of plant materials to produce their fabulous arrangements. I hope you'll enjoy this celebration of art and flowers that is Art in Bloom in Concord.
Hello, my name is Erica Loam, and I'm the curatorial associate at the Concord Museum. And I'm here in our Wallace Kane galleries, where we currently have an exhibition of paintings by Loring Wilkins Coleman, a Concord-based artist who painted scenes of New England. And we have several beautiful paintings that we're going to talk about today in conjunction with Art in Bloom. And there's no better place to start, I think, than Home, a painting that Loring Coleman started in 1982 and finished in 2003. If you need to know anything about Loring Coleman, it's that he drove around Massachusetts and New England looking for old, dilapidated barns. He was really attracted to what he called the ruins of Massachusetts. And in 1982, he was in his car and went to Sterling, Massachusetts, and encountered what he said was the most handsome New England farm he had ever seen. And at the time, it looked very different than it did today. It had several buildings, and he stopped the car and he took out his sketchbook and immediately made some drawings of what you see here. He never finished the painting, he didn't finish the painting until 2003, when he returned to the site and found to his dismay that all but one of the buildings had been destroyed. And so the painting that he made in his studio years later was really a composite of all of these sketches he had made and the farm that still existed in his imagination. And that sort of really sets the tone for this exhibition. A lot of the paintings here show a scene of New England that is no longer with us. And that's what makes it really compelling, I think. And what also makes it compelling are all these little details in the painting that you can only really appreciate up close. Details like the little flecks of snow that are falling from the sky that he's captured against the side of these buildings, and each individual plank of wood rendered with such detail. This is all done in watercolor here, and everything is so fully realized, full of color and texture. And that's what a lot of these paintings in the show will also contain, a lot of individual detail that really rewards close looking. This painting is called Spectral Barn. Loring Coleman made it in 1995. It's a watercolor. And this is one of those paintings that really encapsulates the process of making a watercolor in situ. Loring Coleman was out here making his detailed sketches and preliminary watercolors when a light drizzle began, and the mist came in gradually over time. And in his autobiography, Coleman discusses how this mist created this sort of spooky, haunted effect. It made the sky white. It plays with shadow and light, and he was able to capture that sort of dramatic change in weather and light and tone in this painting. And the final product shows this barn being almost enveloped completely in mist, except for the stark black color of the tree in the foreground here and the opening to the shed to the right. And that sort of light and dark contrast is really something you see in a lot of Coleman's paintings, and it's a really striking example in this one in particular.
Well, I'm really excited to show you this Loring Coleman painting and the fun I had doing the arrangement to go along with it. This is a painting that I first saw in December. My husband and I came over to the gallery, and this one just really spoke to me. We always play this game what's your favorite, and we guess each other's and guess why. And so this was definitely the one that spoke to me, and Tim guessed that, and there are a lot of reasons why, and I wonder if you'll feel the same way. I mean, all his paintings, of course, are just so beautiful and technically remarkable. But this one just felt like I felt more of an emotional pull to it and a tension in it. I mean, there is all that beauty, but there's also a dis-ease in it. I think there's a lot of contrast, that the black of the tree, the white all around that. So there's that. There's an unusual perspective. It's very, very low. Worm's eye view, we used to call it in art school. Just this, you just really are looking up at the tree and the barn. It gives them such a feeling of majesty that I feel runs through some of his other paintings too. Really a stately look, and but also like things are off. You're not really used to seeing things from that perspective. Of course, this is also a magical moment. I mean, when you look at it and really think about what is going on there, I mean, there's all that fog. That is what allows the barn to dissolve that way. I mean, there's some dis-ease in that too. What really is back there? It's so mysterious. But I thought, so what is making that fog? And I think what we're looking at here is a first snow of the year. And the fog, it comes from a warm ground or warm water and cold air. You have all those leaves on the ground, no snow or ice anywhere. So I think you are also getting the feeling, that magic that I think most all of us feel when we see the world turning from green and orange to totally white. I mean, that's that, I don't know about you, but I always kind of gasp even if I see those first flakes out the window. So some of that is compelling too. And then of course, I mean, just back to the contrast, it's the dark tree, the white barn, but even the dark spaces in the shed or small barn there. There's a little bit of mystery there. Not just what is back there in the white, but what's going on there in the blackness. I mean, normally in the day you'd see a little detail there, and I don't see any. And as my husband pointed out to me this morning, he grew up in northern New Hampshire, so was used to living around a lot of working barns. And it's not all about beauty. There's birth and death and slaughter, accidents. So the blackness of a barn can also give you that sort of unsettling feeling. So to me, you can see a lot of power, a lot of things that grabbed me here, and that wonderful thing with a painting that can just keep providing a story, things to think about, things to wonder about. I mean, the last thing, and this may just be me, this is my personal take on it, no scholarly reference, but I also saw a little bit of abstract expressionism, specifically Franz Kline. So really, to place the tree right in the middle, it's not that pleasing rule of thirds where you put your horizon line a third of the way up, or you put your focus 1/3 of the way. I mean, I think even on our iPhones we have rules of third now. He has bisected the painting with this large tree, and then made the branches go, and then go and go and go. And again, it's the mystery. It's like, okay, where is that branch going to end? And you'll see, if you look up Franz Kline, I think you'll see also this off black, I mean, it's abstract, but an off black, a tension, like almost like branches moving off the page, this off white. I just wonder, so Franz Kline was only 10 years older than Loring Coleman, working in New York City like all the abstract expressionists. Coleman was teaching art, so certainly he was talking about this in his classes. And I wonder if this was a little step toward abstraction while still keeping things realistic, or just a way to see if watercolor could be pushed to get that emotional intensity that you feel from abstract expressionist work. It's just a little something I wonder about, but that's what makes it fun for me. So stepping over here, I'll show you what I did to interpret this work of art and bring out some of the things I was wondering and thinking about. So first, when I start on an Art in Bloom piece, I'm always thinking about the vessel. That's the hardest thing to find. And so I knew I wanted to do something large. This is not a huge painting. I think in real life it's just a little bit larger than that. But again, I feel like it's the majesty. You just stand there and it feels like it's quite big because of that perspective, even if it's not. So I was looking for something large. I found something even a little bit larger than I was thinking of at first. But I picked it because I really felt like, okay, this color is going to take care of all of these leaves. There are a lot of leaves, and a lot of this tawny, rusty orange color through the painting along with the black and white. So this takes care of a lot of that. I knew it was going to be a big arrangement. I think sort of the classic proportion is the arrangement is 1.5 times the height of the vase. So I already knew I was going to be doing something large. And in fact, seeing the way the branches go out of the painting, I knew I wanted to expand beyond that classic 1.5 and maybe keep the flower portion within that. So what else? I knew I was going to have to find and figure out a way to do a lot of white and black. And there's certainly a lot of choices in white flowers, not so much in black. So for all that snowy white, I was thinking, is this going to be one of those big fluffy hydrangea? And I thought, well, those are great. That's a way to get a lot of white. But really, we're talking about, in watercolor, the absence of white. Anywhere there's white, there may be a light wash on it, but really what you're seeing is the paper. So I thought, those just seem too dense and also a little hard to work with. Hydrangea, the hydra part means water. So they need tons of water, and in a museum environment, that's really risky. It's usually a dry place and they can flop pretty easily. So no to the hydrangea. And then I ended up with liatris, which I like because it sort of relates to the season of the other flowers I was picking. That's a way to keep things a little more harmonious. I actually also got to try for this spot chrysanthemums, and I just found they didn't jibe well with the roses and ranunculus. They're in the opposite season of the year, fall flowers. So they felt a little too dry. So that's something to think about when you're arranging too, using flowers in their season if you can, or at least all of the same season. Mother Nature knows what she's doing, and she'll put together things that really feel akin to each other. So that was the choice for the white. Also, there's all this snow. There's this amazing thing that Coleman did, so brave, where he painted this whole painting, and then there is a spatter of white to make that feeling of the snow coming down. You do this technically amazing thing, and then you flick your brush at it. So, to get that, or a feeling of that, I was thinking maybe baby's breath, but then with the branchiness, and I saw these pussy willow with these little dots of off-white on them, and I thought, well, that'll be my way to get the snow. And then, of course, I was crossing my fingers that the flower exchange would have what I was looking for, which are these are also pussy willow. They are a type that's this sort of twisted pussy willow. And there they were. So that certainly made me happy. I knew I could get the height I was looking for. I knew I could get, that sort of twisting feeling of the branches. And there is something to me that's sort of ghostly, maybe even a little sinister, the way these twist up. And I was looking for something like that, a little tension between beauty and maybe even a little ugliness. So I think that can enliven a flower arrangement just the way it does in a painting. So some little details, like you can see I pulled the liatris to the front right here because there's more white showing here. I pushed them to the back behind the pussy willow there because there's less back there. I think when I saw that stone wall, you know, at first glance it looks gray, but in flower arranging, as in painting, you're always like looking in, okay, is that really gray or is there some color I can work with in there? So, I mean, I saw green, and then I thought, wow, all those, what can I work with? I thought, wow, those stones really look to me like this silver dollar eucalyptus. So, and so I wanted to create this sort of arc to kind of echo that, but also that is a pleasing line in arrangement. So what happened with that, though, a bit like the choice between the chrysanthemum and the ranunculus, you know, eucalyptus is from Australia. So I was having a little fight between the roses and ranunculus, you know, North America, and this. And I was making the eucalyptus fairly prominent because the stone wall is. So what I ended up doing was just gradually cutting it back, pulling it out, putting it back until it got to be small enough that it wasn't too much of a statement. It didn't fight anymore with the roses. The privet berry in here, well, again, I was looking for something, what is blackish, but as I look at the black, what's the color I can see in it? And especially on the tree, when I looked at that, I saw a little purpliness. And so I decided to find something that was like a purpley black. There's also even a little lavender back there, those trees in the background. So there's a purpliness in the painting that I wanted to pick up here, but also I think maybe something Coleman's doing the painting was also what I was looking for here, which was a complementary color, something that would be right across the color wheel from these yellows and oranges, especially the yellows, and that is purple. So that strengthens the arrangement, reflects, I think, something that Coleman may have been thinking of also in the painting, and highlights that. So the little ranunculus, I didn't point out, but I just love these touches. There are little windows that are just lit up so brightly, and it makes this great contrast to the snow, the sort of barren, snowy look outside. So I don't know, I pumped those a little bit more than in the painting. I'm just looking for that warmth right now. So, but I love that aspect and wanted to pick that up here. And then I wasn't planning on getting roses. I really was counting on the vase to pick up the leaf color. And then I saw those roses, and they're so unusual with this green center. And I just was feeling rose, so and wanting something like that to work with. So I got these, and when I looked back at it, I did see maybe there's actually a little bit of this more tawny pink color in the painting, and they actually are helping that way, besides these little tufts of grass that you can see in there. So yeah, I think I'm just thinking, is that all? But you can see there is quite a lot in putting together one of these things, and just fun to be in the process and look at the mystery in a painting, and I just love sharing it with you. I'm just thinking, are there any sort of tips and tricks that I do here besides the height of the arrangement? Oh, let me tell you how I structured it, because I think people do sometimes wonder, how do you make all these flowers stand up? And how do you work with a container that has a little more open mouth, and even get flowers to be as tall as this? So the structure I have in here is, at the very bottom, I have a flower frog. It's like a little pincushion almost with pins sticking up. And it also is made of lead. It gives some weight to this, which just gives me a more secure feeling. So these big sticks are driven right down into those pins. So right away I can have them standing up. And that's how I start. I create just this overall structure of the sticks. Then I have a big ball of chicken wire. So the sticks are really secure. They go down through the chicken wire into the pins. And the other flowers rest within the chicken wire. So it gives them a little bit of room for movement, but they could be pretty much where I want them. And then at the very top, and this is something not a lot of people do, and I think it's a great trick for home arrangements. I use tape. I mean, in this case, I use floral tape, but at home, I just use Scotch tape in the kitchen and make really this like a tic-tac-toe, kind of, 2 strips going one way, 2 strips going the other way, around the edge of the vase, press it down, and nobody will see it, even on a glass vase. And then it gives you these smaller holes to work with, and it's a great trick for working at home. It lets you use a vase with a wider mouth, but then you have these smaller pockets to stick your flowers in. So I think that is that for the structure. I'll just tell you a little bit about color placement. I mean, I like to group the same type of flower so the eye can really understand and take that in easily, like these ranunculus are grouped here. But then have an echo of it somewhere else, often on the diagonal, and that's like down there. And you can see I did the same things with the roses. There are 4 roses here, but then another rose up here too. And what I also like to do is show all aspects of the flowers. I mean, I just love flowers, so I want to show off all of their beauty. So I think it's really nice to not just have all the flowers facing front, but show what one looks like in profile too. And it seems to bring a little life to arrangements. Well, I'm so glad that you've been able to share this with me. It's really fun for me to talk about it all again. I've enjoyed this process so much. I mean, making this arrangement, of course, but really mainly that it allowed me to live with and look more deeply at this Loring Coleman painting, Spectral Barn, that just moved me from the moment I saw it and continued to do so over these weeks. So it's really been a pleasure, and I'm so happy to share it with you.